Yeah, okay, fine. But yeah, since you mentioned social animals, we have to talk about this other thing called work friends.
Work friends.
Work friends. So the idea of when it comes to work, of course, work can be inherently satisfying, but failing that, we all know how great colleagues can really make or break. We also know that ultimately people leave their jobs and careers because of their bosses, but it's their colleagues that kind of keep them, that kind of just make every day a little bit more bearable, because you have to be in there for 8, 9, 10 hours a day. What do you have to say about work friends?
I do have I had a few work friends before, and I joined the company, I think, all the way until the time I was in Hong Kong. Because before that, I was still leading a bigger team. But when it came to Hong Kong and China, my leadership scope became much smaller, so I didn't really have a lot of colleagues to be friends with. But for those times when I do have colleagues to be friends with, I do enjoy it. It's not a deciding factor for me.
Right.
It's not a make or break.
You're not here to make friends.
I'm here to make money.
Correct.
Why do I need to make friends? I mean, on some levels, you have to make sure that the relationship between your colleagues and you are cordial.
Yes.
But beyond that, it's not something that is very important to me.
Huh.
How about you, Jerry?
I'm similar with you when it comes to the idea of making friends at work. The default is I don't. And I've made this known to some of my ex-colleagues. So, yeah. But I think these sort of things happen inadvertently.
Yeah, if you gel, you gel, right?
Right, and being such a big drinker, ultimately you then kind of find the drinkers in the group, and then it happens. So yeah, I've got great work friends, and that I still keep in touch with, even though I'm fun employed now. But yeah.
Yeah, the value of work friends, I think, that other than helping us tide through a tedious 8 hours a day, if not more, it's also them forming the so-called network and net worth that we have eventually, that you will have eventually.
That's true.
Yeah.
But of course, that's looking at it with a positive lens. Then there's the flip side of the argument, which is office politics.
Yeah.
I don't know. Okay, I think I've been fortunate, generally speaking.
Same here.
Yeah, in the past 20 years of our working life, to not have to deal too much with it. And then for me, I think it's, I don't know about you, Philip, but for me, I think it's largely because I've always made sure I worked in a smaller office.
Same here. The companies that I have been in, similar to Derek's, is quite flat. So there's no, I must climb up the next ladder.
Or you mean I need to step some motherfucker before I get up there?
That's correct. Plus, adding to the fact that none of us are ambitious enough to even think about that. So the lack of hierarchy plus lack of ambition equals to
Yeah, it's like, why do people do this shit like that?
I'd like to perhaps propose that some people, they do need that. First of all, that drive to move forward. They thrive on that drive, and also their livelihood sometimes even depends on it. And must
being a motherfucker.
More like getting next paycheck, next higher paycheck. Sorry, for them to move forward in their career.
Okay. Inexcusable behavior, but with reasonable background.
Have you seen any political figures in your office that you think, that mofo? Not really, right? Because you're...
No.
Yeah. But we've heard stories.
We've heard stories. So I think we have been fortunate. So this is the same part. Because of how we deliberately choose to be in corporate environments where we don't have to indulge in that sort of behavior.
Yeah. Plus the fact that even when we were working for multinational companies, because the trajectory, the career trajectory is a lot shorter, and the functions that, at least for myself, Philip, that I've partook in that have taken on, the responsibilities that have taken on, they tend to be more functional. So there's not really any upwards per se. It's more lateral.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's quite difficult for me to think about, what's the next career step up and who do I have to step in and back to move that.
Okay.
So it didn't really matter to me, for
Yeah.
better or for worse.
So I guess we were fortunate then
Yeah.
to not have to witness it and experience it ourselves.
Yeah.
Because that would have been Jesus.
But would you think you would have shone?
Yes. Would I play the game?
Yeah. Would you be the drama?
Would I be the drama? I don't know. Because, again, I guess hypothetically speaking, I can play the game. But whenever I hear stories like that, I think to myself, why?
Yeah. You don't see the motivation behind it.
Correct. Because, okay, back to the idea of motivation, using your words, Philip, it comes from within, which means you are defined by that role. Work defines you.
Yes.
So
yes.
I need to become that person to progress, to have the corner office, to have a fucking good view when I look out from my desk.
Yeah. To have the corporate black card, to have a chauffeur.
Yeah.
Yes.
No.
You don't need it.
That's not me.
Yeah. Similarly, I used to be that person.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Philip told me about this obsession working in the
Shenton Way.
Yeah, I know. Wearing corporate garb, look
corporate drag, darling.
corporate drag, honey. And then walking around in Raffles Place looking busy.
Yeah.
I never understood that.
That was still the thing. When I was based in Hong Kong, one of my ex-company's office was based in Central, the CBD area, and I really liked it.
I know.
That fulfilled my fantasy.
Yeah.
And even back in Singapore, when we had our office in Robinson Road, that was quite enjoyable time. Simply because you're in the company of other worker ants. Well, dressed quite nicely as well.
Yeah.
Eye candies.
Okay.
It doesn't hurt.
Okay.
So I had an identity which was tied to my work until I did not.
Yeah.
Until I no longer needed that.
Did this illusionment hit, Philip?
Reality lah, I guess reality.
Ooh,
reality came
same but different.
Reality came about to say that, you know what, you should not let work define you. You are a different individual outside of your 9 to 5. You should be.
That's an interesting point, Philip, because there are arguments for and against the idea of bringing you to the workplace. Like you should bring you to the workplace. Because how else are you going to give 110%? If you are not there.
This is why I love the Apple TV series Severance.
Yes.
So the idea, the main,
so hot right
now. Yeah. Season 2.
Season 2. Yeah.
The main idea of Severance is that people who work in the lumen industries, they voluntarily sever themselves. So once they step into a certain floor, the severed floor, they have no idea what they are doing inside. And once they leave the severed floor, they are back to their usual self. I would, for one, on surface, would love to have that procedure so that I can literally separate myself, so that I have no emotions of the pain outside of work on the severed floor while I'm working, and vice versa.
Vice versa, correct. That means you don't bring work home.
Yeah, I don't bring work home, and I don't bring emotions to work.
Yeah,
it is a very
clean,
very clinical and very sterile way of thinking.
Yeah, it pushes the argument to its ultimate edge, really.
Extreme, actually.
Yeah, right.
That's why I love the show, and I urge everybody to watch it. It's really good.
Correct. Yeah. I'll get back to the idea of work identity. Do you think more people should stop thinking about work defining themselves?
We can't help it.
Why?
We are one of the most overworked people in the world.
And sleep deprived, by the way.
Overworked and sleep deprived. So it is something that, unfortunately, going back to what we discussed earlier about Singaporean branding, right?
Yeah.
We are too productive. Or rather, we are being brought up to be too productive.
Too productivity focused.
Yes. And I can I say maybe the younger generations kind of figure the shit out and think that
I know that is a huge topic. Well, yeah, go on, go on.
it's like I no longer need work to define me, and I think that's a very refreshing sort of development.
That's right, Philip, and I have to agree. As much as we tease the Gen Zs and the millennials about all these like new terms, micro retirement and all that mental health thing, right? We say all this in half jest, but full of love. And I think you're right. They have finally figured it out. They are daring to push back, and the boomers are shitting their pants. They are shitting their pants.
It isn't just the boomers, the Xers, who are now on the management level.
Correct, yeah, the Xers, the boomers, they don't know how to motivate the Gen Zs and millennials except on their own terms. Otherwise, if we use our rules, it's not going to work.
Yeah, we will have a lot of job openings in the open. Oh, okay, my goodness.
I know, right? But that also then means does this mean that work is broken now?
Maybe you define what you mean by work is broken, Derek.
Okay.
What do you think? What is broken about work?
Okay. So I know I should have just brought up this definition at the start of this episode, but I see job and work as different. A job is something that is a series of tasks that you have to do that you, once done, then gives you the remuneration that's due to you. That's a job.
Yeah.
Work, on the other hand, is something that needs to be done, but there's an implicit kind of suggestion around meaning, purpose, and all that stuff. Work.
And
yes.
Not career.
No, career I see it as a longitudinal series of jobs. Right? So with that in mind, when I say work is broken, I draw this idea from this book that I read that looks at portfolio careers. Right? That means taking a more multivariate approach to how you plan a career. Work is broken because I think the implicit tie between the employee and the employer through a series of, for lack of a better term, betrayals over the past 30, 40 years. I think it just leads to a situation where we don't trust employers. Employers don't understand what employees need, and it's broken. It's just broken. It's shattered. I mean, you can call me being a pessimist, but no, I really honestly think that work is broken. It's meaningless. Everybody's angry and shouting at everyone else. It's fucking broken.
Well, with most things that are broken, can it be fixed? Can it be put together again?
Interesting you should bring this up because there's a Japanese concept called kinjushi.
Where the one will put things together with the gold.
Yes, with liquid gold.
Sorry,
it can be repaired, but who's going to pay the price?
Because gold is expensive these days, yo.
Yes, bitch. Exactly. So from an allegorical perspective, who's going to foot the bill when using? Well, what is that gold? What is that gold, and who's going to pay for it? Work can be fixed.
Work is broken, but it can be fixed. With golden infill or paint, for the matter. This is a very deep and diverse topic to discuss.
Yes, because if you really think about it, work used to be reciprocal.
Yes.
It used to be reciprocal.
It still is.
Yeah, so if we use something like the pension system, right? Teachers in Singapore back in the day, they work for literally their entire life and they are given pension now because it's really a thank you for 40, 50, if not 60 years of work. Dedication, all that, and you get rewarded accordingly. So I see that as a pact between a responsible employer and an employee. But along the way, work became something that's tied to meaning, unfortunately, for better or for worse. So we have to find meaningful work. Unfortunately, not all work is meaningful. And any meaningful work that lulls the worker to think very deeply about the work to the point where he, she, they gets tied up in that from an identity perspective, then gets betrayed because because they get laid off, or whatever, right? So yeah, I think where the economy is right now, we have conglomerates that are making fuckloads of money but still laying off people, right?
In the word of restructuring.
Yeah, of course, all for maximizing shareholder value. I find that disgusting.
Corporations.
Fuck you, corporations. But
we
yeah,
need them. We need our Apples. We need our Sonys.
of course, this is short on the Apple iPhone. But yeah, I mean, but this is what I'm saying. Why did it get so broken? Can we start thinking about the goal to glue it all back together again?
That sounds very utopian, actually.
We had the opportunity during the fucking COVID period to reimagine work, but no.
Yes and no. We were we were given an opportunity, and for a brief moment we did. We did toy the idea of remote work. We did toy the idea about decentralizing powers and decision making.
Correct.
All of that seems beautiful at that time.
Yes, because we had to make it work, bitch.
But right now it's like, oh, let's go back to the track.
Let's bring everybody back to the assembly line. Work is broken.
Yes. And maybe as a tie-in, we say that work is broken, and perhaps in conclusion, right? What can we hope for? What is the future of work? Yeah, I mean, personally, as Philip, myself, I come from the angle of looking at my future as a career counselor. So the future of work is multifaceted, but what I choose to believe in is no longer linear. It is like shoo, 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 shoo. It's everywhere, and we need to find the beauty in that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
Fuck
the assembly line.
That's correct. Maybe not the fuck part, but the assembly line. Let's take away the assembly line of thoughts.
Yes.
Let's think about divergence.
Yes.
Let's think about the different possibilities once you put your imagination to it. We didn't have that luxury right then. I'm hoping that we can do it right now.
Yeah.
That with, I don't know, government support, or even with every individual's willingness to start somewhere. Let's reimagine what work can be.
Yeah. That's a great way for me to segue into something else, Philip. Because I think, yes, my idea of the future of work picks up the idea of the term called imagination, right? So in futurology, not my framework, but something that I've seen in the past. The future actually is a combination of 3 P's: possible, plausible, and probable. Of course, they are all P words predicated roughly on the same idea, but it all works on the idea of what are you prepared to imagine? What are you prepared to rethink? What are you prepared to take apart, reassemble? And how do you now rethink? What is the necessity of work? I think it started, that reimagination actually started way before the pandemic. If you think about the argument of the 4-day work week, right? So that was controversial. It has been experimented, piloted, and it's been proven to work in certain markets,
certain industries.
And I think that the spirit of the 4-day work week is exactly what we need to bring into this discussion about the future of work.
I mentioned that an alternative works.
Yes, an alternative can work.
Pun intended.
Yes, an alternative approach to work can work.
Yeah, so let's take the courage, bravery, and apply a bit of imagination to that.
Exactly. Like, stop it, people. We can do better as human beings. Work is fucking grinding us right now. We have to find an alternative.
Yeah. What's interesting as well is that we have a lot of friends among us who
Yeah.
are in different phases of their lives.
Yes, I have more than a few who are also fun employed, if you ask me.
Yeah. Fun employed or happily employed, but yet, okay, scratch happily employed. They are employed. That's it.
Full stop.
But they have so much to share with us. And I think that they will be someone that will be valuable to bring sometimes onto our show.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Are you hinting at season 3?
Yes. Season 3, moving forward. This could be another...
You heard it here first, people.
where we can even share with all of our listeners and viewers what they think about work.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, we'll be, of course, interviewing them from different perspectives,
Yes.
work being one of them. But yes, this further down the road means that we will have a more fleshed out and more well-rounded approach to the discussion of work.
Yes. So today's discussion about work is not exhaustive.
Yes.
It will continue in our next season, and I do hope that you will be there to join us on our journey.
That's correct, Philip. And as always, like, share, subscribe to our channel. You know where we are. We don't know where you are, but you know where we are.
If you scan this, we will know where you are. Not creepy at all, not creepy at all.
Not stalking.
Alright, so until then, this has been Philip.
This is Derek. Thank you. Thank you once again. Love us, please.
And we'll see you in our next episode.
Bye.
Bye-bye.